Ugh, literally just walked in off the beach. I think that was a close-up of my hairy armpit. You guys are so welcome. Happy Christmas from me to you. Hi, and welcome to the Unashamedly Human podcast, where we explore how we can better understand our thoughts, feelings, and actions, change our results, and feel less alone as we navigate this crazy little thing called life. My name is Emily Chadbourne, and I recorded this episode live in my free Facebook group, Unashamedly Human with Emily Chadbourne. If you're not a member yet, head to the show notes to join this global community, and you'll be able to join me live next week as I record the next episode of Unashamedly Human, the podcast. Make sure you follow me on Instagram too, Unashamedly Emily, and enjoy this episode. Dear Em, I work for myself and I'm trying to juggle kids and friends too. I always put on weight at Christmas time because I overindulge and my gym schedule goes out the window. This year, I want to do Christmas differently. I don't want to burn out, I don't want to get stressed, and I don't want to wake up in January feeling gross. So I guess my question is, how do you maintain balance at this time of year? I think it's a really great question because, and I think it's specifically highlighted around Christmas time, but I think it's a question that is relevant 365 days of the year. Like, how do we maintain this idea of balance? And to start off, I'm going to tell you a little story about something that happened to me last week. So my intention for this Christmas period was that I was just going to work the whole way through it. When it became apparent that I wasn't going to be going home to England for Christmas and I wasn't going to be able to be with my family, my initial response to that was, oh, well, I'm just going to work. Like, I'm just going to work the whole way through. You know, most other entrepreneurs or coaches, people who work for themselves, tend to take this Christmas break off. I was like, nah, I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep doing my lives, going to keep recording the podcast live, going to keep banging out Friday emails. I'm just going to work the whole way through. I'm just going to basically ignore Christmas. And that was how I was going to manage not being with my family this year. Then I mentioned this to a mate of mine last week, and in her wisdom, in her understanding of me, in her different perspective from the one that I was applying, she said these really sage words to me. She went, well, that sounds like a shit idea. And after I finished laughing, I was like, oh, do you know what? She's completely right. And what I realized was that I had what I call like an undiagnosed adult tantrum going on. And I've had a lot of adult tantrums this year. I've had a lot of moments where I felt like life wasn't fair, it wasn't going my way, other people are doing things that I don't want them to do. I felt like I wasn't really being heard. I felt quite overwhelmed. And so as a response to that feeling, I found myself having lots of adult tantrums. And I had to really self-parent myself through that this year. I've had to be very kind and compassionate to myself. I'm not going to sit in the judgment of myself because that doesn't help anybody. I'm not going to be in the shame of it. I'm going to be really understanding. I treat myself like I am a 3-year-old having a tantrum, full of understanding and as much patience with myself as I can muster. But ultimately, I've had to have some really adult conversations with myself, which is, well, this is the way that it is, though. This is what's happening. So how do you want to respond to that? That's fine when you're having like a full tantrum, when you're like basically like a kid in the supermarket who's like bashing their fists on the floor and outwardly screaming and crying and there's snot flying everywhere because their mother won't let them eat an entire chocolate cake in aisle 4. Like, it's obvious. But these sort of more subtle temper tantrums that you don't really even realize that you're having, they can be a bit more sinister and they can go really undiagnosed. And that's what I was doing. My response to not being able to be with my family this Christmas was, well, fuck it, Christmas is cancelled. And the reason that my mate very eloquently told me that it was a shit idea wasn't because she saw me having a tantrum, but she saw my need to apply some balance. And what I mean by that is that my friend identified that rest and recuperation and downtime is so important for productivity. In fact, it's such a key component of productivity that one might call it the balance that we need in order to be productive. So if I am just constantly go, 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 I never take a break, I'm just relentless in my output, eventually at some point I'm either going to hit resentment or I'm going to hit burnout. And so in order to achieve balance, and I'm using my fingers to do air quotes, I have to have time where I'm not in my work focus, where I am just solely focused on lying on the beach and hanging out with my friends and going to Christmas parties and eating all the food and stepping out of my norm and away from routine. And that's what my friend said when she was sort of commenting that it would be a shit idea for me just to power through and work through the whole of Christmas. Because in order for us to be productive, we must also have rest time. And I think that's what balance is. Would you like daily text messages of support, positivity, and love sent personally from me straight to your phone? Then sign up for Wake Up With Em. It's the affirmation service you didn't know you needed. The first month is free if you follow the link in the show notes. Good morning. You're awesome. So what my friend identified was that I had this need for balance. What she understood was that I have worked my ass off this year, and I show up every single week in a live context, number one on a Monday morning through Instagram and Facebook, every week on a Tuesday with my clients, every Thursday to record this live podcast, every Friday to put out my Friday email, all of the corporate stuff that I do, all of the coaching stuff that I do, maintaining my clients and my own education. I've done Kundalini level 1 this year, and I've done my Vedic meditation course this year, and I'm constantly a student of my own life and my own experience, and I'm also doing, my own transcendence and my own healing and my own internal work. And we were going through this big global pandemic, and what she saw me doing was shifting my focus from the opportunity to relax and rest and recoup. And she saw that my focus was going to my comfortable place, which is while I'm working, I am occupied. And so she called me out on that. And I'm so grateful that she did. And this brings me to this idea of how do we maintain balance? And I think we have been sold a bit of a lie on balance. We hear work-life balance a lot. If I see one more goddamn PDF on how to maintain work-life balance, I will cry. Because I think it's selling us this utopian idea that, and especially as women, and I know it's the same for men as well, but especially for women, we are being sold this idea that we can have it all. You can be the CEO of a company, woman, and you can have 3 kids, and you can make sure that you are, the perfect wife, and that you are, and it's just that pressure is bullshit. It's this idea that you should be able to maintain absolutely everything if you just get the balance right. It's crap. And it puts a huge amount of pressure on people. And it makes people feel like they're never doing enough in any area of life. It's this idea of you've got to work for 8 hours a day, you've got to rest for 8 hours a day, you've got to play for 8 hours a day. My day doesn't work like that. My day's not segmented like that. And I think naturally the word balance puts into our minds this very delicate sweet spot that is to the degree spot on. And if you can be there and you can maintain that, then everything, all the balls in the air, all at the same time, then you are worthy, you are successful, you are lovable, you are a valued member of society. But if that balance drops in one way or another way, then you have got it wrong. You're a terrible mother. You don't deserve the salary that you're on. Your husband's going to leave you. And again, I know I'm talking to women in that particular context, but I think women are at the suffering of this more than men, because we still live under that patriarchy. And I know it's changing, but we do still live under that patriarchy of, you know, men go out and work and women have kids. I would like us to put down the word balance. I don't think it helps anyone. What I would suggest that you use instead is the word focus. Where do you need to focus your attention right now? And not what's the most urgent, but what's the most important to you. And there's a massive difference between urgency and importance. You know, as a business owner, I learned that I have to stop doing the urgent things and I have to do the important things. The urgent things are, oh my God, have I replied to that email? Oh my God, I haven't replied to those comments. It needs to be done today. Now. Well, that's just going to keep me in that energy of now. And my focus, my attention, my time, my energy, my nurturing is never going to get to the things that are really important. And I've discovered this in a planning session with a mentor of mine for 2021 just a few weeks ago. And I had all of this stuff, like pages and pages of stuff I had to do in 2021. And it was all urgent. And he asked me this beautiful question. He was like, what's important to you though? Name 2 things that are the most important thing in your business right now. And I was like, the first thing is nurturing my clients in the hub and making the hub even more excellent. And that will always be my main focus. And then the second thing is creating an environment for women to feel like they want to join the hub. So marketing and sales. And he was like, that's it. Those are your important areas in your business. You don't do anything else. Everything else is urgent, so it becomes irrelevant. And I just thought it was such a great way of looking at life. You put down what is urgent and you only ever do what is important. It's urgent that I empty the dishwasher. It's urgent that I get milk from the shop. Is it? Is it urgent? If it's urgent, fuck it off. Do what's important. It's important that you tuck your kids in at night. And so I think we need to shift from this idea of maintaining balance, which conjures up this idea that we need to do it all. And we shift that into, where does my focus need to be right now? And the answer to that is always, what is the important thing to me right now? Not what is the most urgent thing to me right now. What is the most important? So let's take this and fit this into the Christmas framework. So naturally at Christmas, everything, or the holidays, I've got to stop saying Christmas, it's just like the end of the year, the holiday season, loads of public holidays. We're traveling around if we can, if we're lucky enough to be doing that this year. And, you know, we're seeing family and friends and social gatherings and, you know, school's broken up and there's a lot going on. It's going to be impossible for your focus to be like it has been throughout November, October, September. It's going to be different. Your focus is going to be shifted. And again, we focus on what's important, not what is urgent. The urgency might be, oh, but I haven't cleared my inbox and I haven't posted on social media yet today and I have got to do my accounts and I wanted to get this done before the end of the year and yada, 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 especially as a business owner, right? Those are the urgent things that we feel like we need to do. But what is probably important is that you're at your kid's nativity. What's important is that, you know, you are at the carol service or whatever it is that you feel is important to you. And so I think it's about giving yourself permission to shift focus at this time of year. And that includes diet, it includes health, it includes, you know, allow yourself to shift your focus from healthy eating to indulgent eating for a week. And in the intent and the purposefulness of doing that, what you're saying to yourself is, I'm choosing to eat decadently this week, which means that after this week is over, I can calibrate and shift my attention again to healthy eating or to going back to the gym. So I know, and I don't have to feel guilty about the fact that this week, where I've got Christmas party after Christmas party and, Advent chocolate and yada, 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 I know that this week I'm focusing purposefully and intentionally and like literally on purpose. I am focusing on overindulging and sitting on my ass and watching Christmas movies because that is what is important for me this week. Next week, my focus will shift again from that to, all right, well, I'm going to focus my attention this week on my health, or I'm going to choose to focus on healthy eating this week. I'm going to choose to focus on putting some time in my diary because it's important to me to go to the gym this week, as opposed to sitting there and feeling really guilty and being like, oh, I've got to have balance. I shouldn't have chocolate for breakfast because of the balance, the fucking balance. The balance doesn't exist. It is a construct that you have been sold. It's not real. So put it down and instead choose to focus on what is important to you in any given moment. Everyone puts a few extra kilos on at Christmas. It's not a problem in any way, shape or form. It only becomes a problem when you decide that it's a problem. You have full free will over yourself, full autonomy over yourself. You are a parent of yourself. You're a full-ass fucking grown-up. And so if you want to spend the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, hell, you can spend the next month not going to the gym and choosing with full intention to indulge yourself and to focus all of your attention on family and friends and social activities. And then after that month, you go, right, now I'm shifting my focus back again. Not, oh my God, look, I put some weight on and I completely didn't do it. Like, we're not just going to sit and berate ourselves or judge ourselves. We are just choosing where we would like our focus to be at any given time. And in a day, you can shift your focus. All right, well, my focus is that this morning I am going to go to the gym because that makes me feel good. And I'm eating at home for lunch. And so I'm going to focus on eating really healthily for lunch because I know that this evening I'm going to focus on drinking loads of wine and eating loads of cake and, indulging. So you get to shift your focus from moment to moment. So it's not about, I've got to eat a salad for lunch today because I need to maintain balance. It's, I'm choosing to focus on being healthy right now because I know tonight I'm going to choose to focus on being indulgent. And choosing to focus on being healthy is as important to me as choosing to focus on being indulgent. Not, I'm going to force myself to eat a salad at lunch today and then I'm going to feel guilty about eating some chocolates tonight. Because that's not living life. That's not enjoying anything. So that would be my advice to you. It's pretty simple. Stop looking for balance. It doesn't exist. You're never going to get it right. And you're always going to be stressed and feeling guilty. Instead, just own your focus. Whether it be Christmas, whether it be September, whether it be January, just own your focus and focus on what is important to you at any given time as opposed to what you think should be important to you at any given time. If, like me, you love reading cool stuff, listening to interesting interviews and hearing funny, quirky stories that feel really relatable, then sign up for my famous Friday emails. They're jam-packed with awesomeness, and if you sign up and you're not into it, you can always unsubscribe. Link in the show notes, and I look forward to being in your inbox on Friday. It's Friday! I was speaking to a friend at a wedding that I was at. I was a bridesmaid and the MC. It was excellent. Not because I was bridesmaid and MC. I mean, just the wedding was excellent. It was just beautiful. And I was speaking to a friend of mine who's in her last year of Chinese medicine. And Chinese medicine is basically like doing your doctorate. It is huge. It's not, it's not an undergrad course. It's like, it's a whole thing. And it's very involved. And she said, this year has been really intense because global pandemic, all her family's in Perth, so she hasn't been able to see them. She's been in this last year of this degree, but because of COVID, it's been kind of messed around a bit, and she has her own practice, right? So she's also been trying to work and then working for a bit, and then restrictions came in, and so it's been a lot for her. And she said, I feel like I tell my clients all the time, life is about balance, and I haven't had any of it this year. And I shared this concept with her, and I was like, but what if there was no such thing as balance? What instead balance means is focus. So this year you've been focused on your studying, you've been focused on getting through, in terms of both business and personal life, through a global pandemic. That has been your focus for this year. And next year your focus will shift, as opposed to, I haven't had balance this year, because this year has demanded a certain amount of focus in certain areas. So we can't then berate ourselves for neglecting other areas. That's just a waste of our time. It's just going to put us into that pit of self-judgment and self-beration and feeling like we're not doing a good enough job at being a human being. I've got lots of friends having babies at the moment, and I see those first 4 or 5 months, they just disappear off the radar, because their entire focus goes into bonding with their baby, learning about their baby, getting through the nights, changing nappies, all the sleep deprivation. And that doesn't mean that that's where they're going to stay forever. That everything is transient. And so, to take one day, to take 1 month, to take even a year and say, this is the way that life is now forever, well, you're just doing yourself a disservice. Everything is transient. And so for the new mums out there, this won't last forever. Just put all your focus into your baby. There will be a time when things are different, and your focus will be less about staying at home and being with your baby and being in that baby bubble, and you will have the capacity again for socializing and doing other things. But right now your focus is having a baby, and that's fine. Be it, like just be in it. And I think, we live in a cruel world in that sense, is that we are sold this ideal, especially as women, that not only can we have it all, that we should be it all. And I think that's causing a lot of strain and anxiety for us. So let's just put that down. How do you maintain balance? You don't. It's impossible to be balanced all of the time. We just decide with intention and purpose what is important to us at any given moment, and then we focus our attention there. That's it for today's episode. I trust you loved it. And remember, you can join me as I record these episodes live. All of the details are in the show notes. If you love this episode, I'd really appreciate you sharing it on your socials, and please tag me, Unashamedly Emily. You can also share it through Spotify, and if you're listening on iTunes, then please rate and review. It really helps other people find this valuable content. And as always, nothing beats a good bit of word of mouth, so let your mates know all about this podcast. If you're interested in joining my global coaching community, the Unashamedly Human Hub, check out the link in the show notes. See you in the next episode, and keep being brave.